Now that we have an area type and an area, let's go ahead and create our asset types and assets. So let me go ahead and go to the asset types item in the navigation bar. And once again, this is under the admin section. So be aware that general user would not have access to this. And when I go to asset types, you'll see that there's one asset type here. A typical intelligent asset system, once you install it, you will be given this initial asset type. Let me explain what this is here for. Clearblade works in partnership with certain other companies that make trackers. And these trackers are pieces of hardware that get mounted on actual assets. These pieces of hardware might connect to cellular networks. They may have GPS transceivers on them. And their job is to publish information about the asset to the Clearblade system. This information would include the location and other attributes. So a tracker might have connected to it certain sensors or transducers that are responsible for measuring temperature, humidity, pressure, those kinds of things. And the tracker's job will be to publish, along with location, those attribute information as well. Those trackers have to automatically connect to the Clearblade system as assets, and they need to be of a certain asset type. And that's what this unassigned asset type is. It's for those trackers. Now, an actual tracker might go on very different kinds of assets. So eventually, we would want to move an asset from being an unassigned type to a more specific type. Now, in our example, we don't actually have trackers mounted on real assets. Everything we're doing is simulated. I'm going to simulate location information. I'm going to simulate the other attribute information. So we don't have really any trackers involved. So we're going to go ahead and start off by creating a more specific asset type. I'm going to click on this plus here. And the first asset type I'm going to create is going to be called tank. And I might even call it tank type. Actually, I'll just, that's the human readable name of that type. So this is the asset type for the actual tanks that get mounted on the cars. Together, the tank and the car are tank car, but they're actually assets of two different types that come together to form a larger asset. Now, again, if I wanted, I could paste in here a base 64 encoded string that represents an icon for assets of type tank. So they might show up on a map with a unique look to differentiate them from other assets. I'm not going to do that, but you could absolutely do that. And once again, you could have a description added, and a tank might itself be made up of other assets, and those would be the children. Now, there's actually no other assets that are the components of tank, so I'm not going to have anything chosen here. But when I create the tank car type, you will see that its child will be tank. You'll see that in a little bit. Now, tanks will have an attribute we're going to track called temperature. And you can see the temperature. I had typed it in before, so it appears in that gray box below. And there's the human readable version of it. Its data type is going to be a number. And I might choose to keep history on it. I don't have to. It's actually not something. First asset type. Now, once that gets created, let's go ahead and create our second asset type. And the second asset type is going to be tank car. Human readable name is going to be tank car. Again, you can have an icon if you wanted to. And this time, when I click on this drop down, I can see its children can be unassigned or tank. Tank is what I just created. I'm going to go ahead and click and choose that. And I'm not really going to have any additional attributes that define the state of tank car. Location is going to be the main attribute of tank car. So I'll go ahead and create that asset type. And now I've got two asset types from which I can create my actual assets.